What's up, Taiwan? I'm Leslie Liao with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan is increasing fines 15-fold for companies caught illegally exporting to Russia. The move comes after reports that Russian arms makers have been importing machine tools made in Taiwan. The equipment is used in complex manufacturing, including weapons production. Taiwan doesn't allow the sale of such goods to Russian companies because of its war in Ukraine, but Taiwanese exports have ended up in Russia via Turkey and China. Taiwan's economy ministry is asking Taiwanese exporters not to allow their products to be reshipped to Russia and Belarus. The penalty for first-time violators is now $32,000. The U.S. State Department is backing Taiwan after China changed a commercial flight path, bringing it closer to an unofficial border with Taiwan. China reverted flight route M503 back to its pre-2015 path, bringing it almost 4 nautical miles from the median line of the Taiwan Strait. The U.S. says it opposes any changes to the status quo between Taiwan and China, and flight routes should be decided by both sides. China says it made the change to alleviate air traffic and increase flight safety. Taiwan's homegrown COVID-19 Medigen vaccine is just as effective as its mainstream counterparts. That's according to a new study that will be published in a U.S. Centers for Disease Control medical journal. An early release of the study shows that the Medigen vaccine is 91% effective in preventing death or serious symptoms after 3 shots. Those results are comparable to other vaccines like the BioNTech and Moderna mRNA shots. Taiwanese authorities are welcoming the findings after the vaccine faced harsh criticism over its development and rollout. Environmental groups in Taiwan are calling attention to how green energy projects are impacting the ecology of the country's coastal wetlands. Laurel Stewart has more.
This vast wetland on Taiwan's west coast is the home to thousands of plant and animal species. It's the largest in the country and has long been the foundation of the local ecosystem. But wind and solar farms off the coast of Changhua County are impacting the area's ecology. Environmental groups say wind turbines on land kill birds and affect tides when built offshore, while floating solar panels disturb underwater habitats.
光电板盖了，你一定会遮阴，没有了光。那你说潮间带的生物，它所谓的生物多样性的这些所有科学证据的这些计算，它要怎么继续维持下去？
And these wetlands are also an important magnet for tourists. Oyster harvesting by ox cart is a traditional activity that attracts about 30,000 visitors a year. Locals are calling for the government to conserve the area by adding it to the Ramsar list, a convention that protects wetlands of international importance.
其实是一种保护，更是一种追随世界发展休闲观光潮流的一个主要方向。
They hope to curb the development of wind and solar farms that disturb the environment.
风机，我们的太阳能光电一直在侵蚀我们。也许在10年后，台湾海岸线没有好的一个地方了。
But the development of solar and wind power projects is part of the government's plan to increase renewable energy to 20% of the country's energy mix by 2025. But despite the need to cut carbon emissions by moving away from fossil fuels, some say the drawbacks of green energy projects outweigh their benefits.
彰化的湿地、潮间带的湿地可以这样搞吗？民进党政府为了搞光电，破坏生态、破坏环境，在所不惜吗？
But with Taiwan's limited land mass, renewable energy projects are often relegated to the country's coastlines. So striking the balance between emissions goals and ecological protection will continue to pose questions for Taiwan's policymakers. Ryan Wu and Laurel Stewart for TaiwanPlus.
3 people are dead and nearly 300 injured after a massive gas blast in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. A tanker truck exploded in the city, causing a massive ball of fire to spread through houses, businesses, and cars. Police say a child is among those killed and the death toll is likely to rise. Authorities have launched an investigation to find the cause of the blast. A rare artifact has been unearthed in eastern Taiwan, giving a glimpse into one of the island's prehistoric cultures. Reese Ayers has the story.
It may not look like much, but this strange little object has just made one lucky archaeology intern in Taiwan very happy.
手上有一个陶把就掉到地板上，然后就看到人寿星玉珏在我面前，然后就很开心，觉得很幸运，就把它捡起来。
Found in the topsoil on a farm in Hualien in eastern Taiwan, archaeologists believe this tiny piece of carved jade is from the Neolithic period, as far back as 3,000 years ago.
年代大概距今3000年到2500年之间，这样，那就是一个装饰品。它的那个上面有一个钻一个孔，这样子，你可以把它当做它就是一个项链的一个坠子。
Hualien is a hotspot for archaeological finds, and the local museum says that the object is typical of the Huaganshan culture of the people living in the area thousands of years ago, and demonstrates the technology of the time. One of only about 40 such pieces discovered in Taiwan, the ornament is quite the find, and a rare glimpse into the island's prehistory. Justin Wu and Reese Ayres for TaiwanPlus.
400 years ago, Dutch traders and explorers arrived in southern Taiwan. Now a museum is exhibiting their role in the island's history. Louise Watt reports.
An oil painting shows a Dutch priest baptizing indigenous people in Taiwan in the 17th century. Part of a private collection in the Netherlands, it's now on public display in southern Taiwan. A testament to the time when Dutch soldiers and missionaries arrived there, beginning a partial colonization of Taiwan.
1624是一个台湾加入全球化的一个重要的节点，但是我们希望说，去把1624作为一个引子。
The exhibition at the National Museum of Taiwan History in Tainan is spotlighting 1624 as the year Taiwan entered the international arena. And the more than 100 artifacts also depict the era's flourishing trade between the Dutch and Japanese.
台南500年的时候我们都不在了，能够把握住这个历史的里程碑，告诉我们，也告诉我们的下一代，我们这个历史长河中流过了哪些东西。
Exhibition organisers hope that as the public delves into 400 years of Taiwan's history, they'll understand that the island's internationalisation is not as recent as they thought, but that its links to the world go back hundreds of years. Howard Zhang and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
The exhibition is on at the National Museum of Taiwan History in Tainan until the end of June. A night market in Chiayi that was shut down last year for violating zoning regulations has reopened just in time for the Lunar New Year. The sprawling Hume night market attracted large crowds when it opened in June 2023, boasting nearly 400 stalls. But its location was considered illegal, and the city fined its operators nearly $2,000 After finally receiving approval to operate, the market came back to life on February 2nd. Vendors have been handing out 3,000 coupons to customers in the form of Lunar New Year red envelopes to mark the occasion. Lunar New Year is just around the corner, as we just said, and Taiwan's biggest holiday is all about celebration, family, and food. One of the most popular snacks is niangao, a kind of glutinous rice cake. One street in southern Taiwan's Pingtung County is famous for making them, and business is always booming at this time of year. 11 bamboo steamer baskets are stacked up, a scene that can be witnessed in the early months of each year in Pingtung County in Taiwan's south. The area has been given the moniker Jiuru Niangao Street, referring to niangao, a type of glutinous rice cake eaten over the Lunar New Year. This street used to be lined with niangao vendors, but today only 2 remain. With the Lunar New Year fast approaching, these shops are getting busy. And the owners say the secret to their success is using wood-fired stoves instead of gas. Popular as they are, these shops are telling people to order early and fast because a single batch of niangao takes 8 hours to make. Lunar New Year is a time for tradition, and if these shops' popularity has anything to say about tradition, it's that there's no shortcuts to quality and taste. Taipei Zoo has opened a special salamander exhibit to raise awareness about the rare species. Our reporter Irene Lin explains why these tiny amphibians need protection.
Small and slender, these slimy amphibians might be mistaken for lizards, but they're a rare type of salamander. Having traveled across the northern hemisphere 100,000 years ago, they found a new home in Taiwan. And they're the smallest type of salamander out there.
But these ancient creatures are facing some modern challenges. Being cold-blooded and having thin skin makes them sensitive to temperature changes, so they've had to adapt to the changing climate.
它因为栖地在高山上面那面临我们的气候暖化的问题，所以它的栖地呢一直不断的受到了一些威胁。
Researchers from National Taiwan University say many of the riverbeds salamanders rely on have dried up, posing another threat. But humans are also posing a risk to the tiny creatures. Researchers say people hiking and camping in the mountains and by the rivers have affected their habitats and made it harder for them to survive.
现在登山客多了，然后像刚刚我讲的，动不动然后去翻个石头，事实上对他来讲就是一个非常严重的栖地的干扰哈。
The government aims to shed light on the plight of these tiny creatures, so people know how to have outdoor adventures that do not disturb the world around them, in the hopes that these salamanders can remain at home in Taiwan. Ryan Wu and Irene Lin for TaiwanPlus.
Tourists are flocking to a popular Taipei attraction after it received a Lunar New Year makeover. The Maokong Gondola, which connects the Taipei Zoo to nearby tea farms, is now home to a host of cartoon animals. A local animal rescue charity created the design with a popular cartoon character featured on Taipei's metro. The city expects more than 20,000 people a day to ride the gondola over the Lunar New Year holiday. The cartoons have already proven a big hit with some smaller visitors.
我看到树懒，哦，还有猴子，树懒，看着都很可爱。我最喜欢猴子。
The first film to explore homosexuality in Taiwan, Crystal Boys, is going to be digitally remastered in celebration of its 40th anniversary. Yu Jinghuang has more.
A wanderer lost in the Taipei night, with nowhere to call home. This is a scene from the film Crystal Boys. It depicts the lives of gay men in conservative 1970s Taiwan. It was the first film about homosexuality to hit the big screen in the country. It's being digitally remastered ahead of its 40th anniversary in 2026. The new cut will include all the scenes that didn't pass film censors during its first run. The film crew hopes it will give a new generation a glimpse into Taiwan's history.
现在同性的问题是他生活里面的一部分，是可以被讨论的。那么在我们那个时代呢，就是同志之间的情感是不能够公开被讨论的，所以相对的在情感的表述上面来讲，可能就有很大的差别。
The author of the novel on which the film is based announced the start of the digital remastering project. Bai Xianyong is a pioneering writer on homosexuality in Taiwan. Published in 1983, the Crystal Boys novel has also been adapted for TV and the stage. Bai believes that art has helped gay rights progress in Taiwan, and that this trend is likely to continue elsewhere.
人生而平等的，这个是几个世纪以来人类最追求的理想现在来看，我想这个已经30多个国家已经承认同婚了。我想这个大趋势，会一直会下去。
The Taiwan Film and Audiovisual Institute said it expects to finish remastering Crystal Boys by October, just in time for this year's Pride celebration in Taiwan. Kama Shi and Yu Jinghuang for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we leave you with images of flowers blooming in Beitou in the north of Taipei. I'm Leslie Liao. Take care, and I'll see you next time.